The Inner Dimensions of the Prayer by Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah. This book is only 96 pages, and each page doesn't even contain that many words. And actually, the first 16 pages of the book are dedicated to Ibn Qayyim's biography. So the actual book is already so much shorter, but the book is so profound and so essential despite how small it is for all Muslims, because it talks about the most important thing that we do, and that is the salah. It is such a simple masterpiece that anyone can pick up, no matter whether you're a regular reader or you're someone that hates reading, you consider yourself a visual learner who only watches videos and doesn't really like to read books. This is for everyone, and it's exactly why I used it as my first book in this book review series, because it's so easy for anyone to actually get into. Have you ever thought and actually asked yourself, what is the wisdom behind each movement in the salah? Like, what are these actually symbolic to? That is exactly what this book answers. Ibn Qayyim is reminding you that this thing which we do 5 times a day is actually a spiritual journey in which Allah has created these specific sequences of movements or spiritual events which are all intentional, leading to one after the other and actually building up to a climax, which is the sujood. Ibn Qayyim emphasizes that someone may appear to have khushu' on the outside. He may appear to be really focused in his prayer because he's doing all of his movements correctly. But on the inside, he lacks the inner dimensions of the prayer, or as it's called in the original Arabic version, asrar as-salah, the secrets of the prayer. I wanted to give you one example of something he wrote in the book. In chapter 1.4, Ibn Qayyim divides people into 3 categories depending on how they use their limbs. The first category, and also the best kind, are people whose limbs are engaged in the service of Allah, and they are fulfilling the purpose for which they are created. The specific movements that we do in the prayer that Allah told us to do. The bigger picture is that you are doing exactly what these limbs were created for. They are following their purpose. And so here Ibn Qayyim is describing the limbs as successful merchants, as successful businessmen, if you want to say that. And they are in a trade with Allah, and they are making the best of profits. The second category of people are those who use their limbs for what they were not created for. They commit their limbs to disobedience and sinning towards Allah. And these are people who the trade which they partake in will never be successful, because the end result of that trade is the punishment and the wrath of Allah. But what's interesting is that Ibn Qayyim says that this is not even the worst group, because the third group are those that don't really use their limbs for anything. They are not getting the best of the hereafter, nor are they productive in this dunya. They're not chasing anything in this dunya either. They simply add no value to this world in a dunya sense or in a sense of the hereafter. While at least in the previous category, even though the person was not following the purpose he was created for, he's at least actually getting something in this dunya. He's chasing money, he's chasing property, he's chasing children, he's chasing fame. He's doing something, so at least he's having some form of good in this dunya, even if his hereafter is going to be the exact opposite. But the last category is someone that simply doesn't get the dunya or the akhirah, which Ibn Qayyim describes as the worst person in terms of how their limbs are being used. That was just in the beginning of the book. The rest of the book, Ibn Qayyim talks about each part of the prayer in sequence, taking you through that whole journey the way Allah intended it. You know, when you're a Muslim who was born into a Muslim family, or you may have been a revert for a few years, this is something that becomes so normal to you. And naturally, as humans, when you repeat something and it becomes a habit, it's going to affect you less and less and less, making you need more and more reminders over time. So this really was a way for me to relearn the prayer, and it was a huge tool to increase my khushu'ah, because I actually understand the bigger picture of the prayer, what each movement is for. You know, a lot of people, they love to stand behind the imam that has a beautiful voice and they love to hear him recite, but then the rest of the prayer, like the ruku'ah, the sujood, it may be something that he just wants to get by. But this really makes you enjoy every single part of the prayer and really doing it with full intent. I'll end the video there. Please let me know in the comment section if you enjoy this style of video where I talk about books. I plan to make this a whole series where I review Islamic books and talk about the things that I've learned from them, and recommending them to you based on my experiences. And you can also recommend books to me back, and then I can make videos on those. So please let me know what you think, and inshallah I'll see you guys in the next video. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.